There are places that are not marked on the map but are enough to make people tremble every time they mention the name. The town of San Alberto, no ghosts, no demons, just the smell of boiled meat every night from an abandoned house that no one dares to go near. They say if you see light flickering in the night, don't look back. And if you smell the Bopis rising in the darkness, it's too late to run. A young man ran through the forest, his face panicked, sweating profusely. Under his feet, the mud seemed to want to swallow him. Behind him was a hoarse woman's voice, singing and laughing, ghostly. Alingkora, hoarse, murmuring. If you taste ill food, you must pay. You have disparaged me now, let me taste your soul. Narrator. Bert, a man far from home, went to work to forget his past mistakes. No one expected he would be the last person to see the true face of the legendary Bopis seller. Not all monsters are demons. But there are souls who have been betrayed to the point that even darkness must bow before them. Engkanto ay Tindera ng Bopis, the truth behind eerie flavor. San Alberto, a town nestled between mountains and a large tropical river. Where once stood a battlefield, now there are only ruins, slow-moving people, and things that no one dares to name. A dilapidated wooden house, smoke-stained windows, wind whistling through the cracks in the walls. From inside, a white smoke rose, the smell of meat. Every night, from the house at the end of the village, the smell of stir-fried meat rose. No one lived there, but there was a dim light, and a shadow flickered in the window. They called it Bopis ng Engkanto. New day, school construction site. Dirt, concrete, the sound of hammers. A man is pulling a cart, Bert. Narrator. Bert, 42 years old, recently divorced, left the city to return to the countryside to find peace. He took a job as a construction worker on a school project in San Alberto, with his best friend from high school, Aljon. Scene of Bert and Aljon resting, smoking under a tree. Aljon laughing. Are you tired of the courtroom scene with your ex-wife? At least no one here curses you every morning. Bert smirking. Yee. There are only ghosts here. I heard some people went missing at the end of the village. Both of them laugh. But the camera slowly pans into the distance. The abandoned house lies quietly, as if looking back. Night. Workers are eating, laughter and chatter. A young man, Glenn, is talking on the phone. Glenn, on the phone. Hey, I'll take a walk. There's a place here that sells really good late-night food. It seems to be near the abandoned house. The camera follows Glenn through the tall grass, approaching the house. The smell of Bopis smoke wafts eerie. He looks around, knocks on the door. The door opens automatically. The next morning, screams are heard from the edge of the construction site. Worker. Oh, and my God. There's someone lying here. Camera shakes, rushes to Glenn's body, lying motionless, mouth wide open, covered in mud. Eyes rolled back, dried blood at the corners of his mouth. The wind suddenly stops. Glenn, the first person to die in 2 years of silence in San Alberto. And the scariest thing is in his mouth, there is not only dirt but the smell of meat. Salty. Burnt. Like Bopis cooked in hell. Bert stands still, looking at the abandoned house. In the distance, a shadow stands at the window, as if looking back. And from that moment the town of San Alberto no longer sleeps. After Glenn's strange death, no one dared to mention the abandoned house again. Except Aljon, the only one who said he had eaten that Bopis and wanted to eat it again. Scene change, noon at the construction site. Bert sits drinking water. Aljon eats and smiles strangely. Aljon. I'm telling you, Bert. I've never had anything so good. It tastes like human flesh, but sweet, spicy, warm like it's eating sauce. Bert worried. Do you hear what the hell you're saying? I've never seen a shop there. It smells, but it's been locked for years. Aljon smiled faintly, not answering. But in his eyes, there was something that was no longer human. That night, Bert stood outside the abandoned house. He heard the sound of frying pans, the laughter of women. But inside was only darkness. The wind rose cold. Someone's shadow passed Ila the window. Startled, Bert turned his head. A boy of about 12 years old had been standing behind him for a while. It was Tikyo. Tikyo calmly. You heard that, right? Her voice. Scene change, small wooden house at the end of the village. Tikyo made herbal tea for Bert to drink. The room was filled with charms, black water bowls, red strings. Sitting on the floor was Lolo Istong, old with deep eyes. Lolo Istong. Your friend ate the food for the soul. That Bopis was not cooked with meat but with the last memories of the captives. Bert is startled. The camera pans slowly to an old tattoo on Lolo Istong's arm, a spirit animal and ancient Tagalog. Lolo Istong continued. That abandoned house is a portal. Once opened, it will invite all the restless spirits. And if you eat from them you will slowly be consumed. Eli, that world. Quick flashback, images of previous disappearances. Teenager sucked into darkness. A drunk falling into a dry well. All have one thing in common, the smell of Bopis in the middle of the night. Narrator. San Alberto used to have an unwritten rule. Don't go near an abandoned house, and never eat anything that wasn't cooked. Ila living hands. Night scene, Bert watches Aljon from afar. Aljon mumbles to himself, eating a box of Bopis that Bert has never seen anyone sell. His eyes are lifeless. Behind him, the shadow of a woman gradually appears in the night. Alincora. Back to Lolo Istong's house. He is burning a talisman, muttering an ancient incantation. Lolo Istong, seriously? I have kept this gate for 4 years. But every time someone eats it, it opens another crack. If your friend eats it 3 times, then he will no longer be alive. Late at night, Tikyo and Bert hid behind a banana bush, breathing heavily. In front of them was the abandoned house, now glowing with warm yellow oil lamps, like a restaurant in the middle of the city. Inside there were people laughing, pans clenching, knives hitting chopping boards. Tikyo whispering. You see, I knew it. That Carinderia only appears to the person whose name she is calling. Bert, surprised. But it's not real. This is an illusion, right? Tikyo. No, uncle. This is part of the Engkanto realm. It's real, but it's not for ordinary people to enter. Inside the Carinderia, Aljon sat down and ate heartily. The shop is filled with magical light. The others are sitting and eating, but their faces are blurry, indistinct. Only Alincora, standing behind the counter. Her eyes are wide, her smile is cold. Alincora, in whisper but echoing voice. One more part to complete, Hijo. After the 3rd time you will no longer be hungry. No more pain, no more humanity. Her hand is placed on Aljon's shoulder, slow, unnaturally long. the skin cracked like rotten ash. Scene cuts, Bert accidentally steps on a branch, making a noise. Aljon turns around but sees nothing. Tikyo pulls Bert's hand back. Tikyo, urgently. We must not let her see. Once she sees her face, she will call my name in her dreams. At Lolo Istong's house. The story begins. Lolo Istong, sitting pensively in front of a fireball. Aling Cora was once a tagapagpagaling, a healer in wartime. She used ancient charms, tobacco, and the aura of the forest to save hundreds of lives. But a black and white flashback. A young woman has her clothes torn and her house burned. Villagers who suspect her of being a witch. She kneels in the fire, her eyes filled with resentment. Lolo Istong continuing. She was kidnapped. Turned away those who had asked for her help. When she died, no one buried her. Her spirit returned but she was no longer human. Hunger for revenge became Bopis ng Engkanto. Bert is silent. Tikyo takes out an old scroll, a hand-drawn map of negative energy. Tikyo. The gate is opening. And only a sacrifice with a pure soul can enter without being held back. Uncle Bert. I think that person is me. Bert protests. But Tikyo's eyes do not waver, steady as an adult. Scene change, Aljon is in the carinderia, taking a second bite. As he bites in, the surrounding scenery begins to shake slightly. On the walls, grimacing human faces emerge from the lime, as if they had been swallowed into the wall for decades. Whispery from Tiyuwal. Get out. Get out of here. Don't eat anymore. Bert watches Aljon leaves the house with a stiff gait, his eyes red as if he had fever. Behind him, Aling Cora stood in the shadows, whispering a single phrase over and over. Aling Cora, echoing in the wind. Just one more time. Hejo, just one more time forever. Tikyo took an amulet, tied it to his wrist. He looked at Bert, smiling slightly. Tikyo, gently. If I don't come out, close the gate. Don't let anyone else in. The night is dark. The wind is howling. In the small house, Tikyo kneels before Lolo Istong. On the floor, five element stones, a bowl of holy water, red strings interwoven with ancient charms handwritten in black ink. A fire burns amid slow chanting. Lolo Istong, old voice trembling. Remember, Tikyo, this is not a dream. Everything you see on the other side is real, from the pain to the soul-calling cries. You must keep yourself or your very soul will forever belong to them. Tikyo nods, clutching the talisman. Bert sits next to him, his hands shaking. They both step into the circle of stones, and the fire flares up, swallowing them. The scene changes. They are standing in dark, foggy forest. Everything is dark, the colors are distorted like a painting. Whispers echo from all directions. Spirit voice, no image, just sound. The traitor, the one who broke his promise, the one who abandoned his family. Bert staggers. The scene changes to an old apartment in the city. He sees his ex-wife crying, his little daughter standing at the window, but when he runs towards her, the scene fades. He is alone. Another scene, Tikyo walks through a field of people sitting with their heads bowed, their skin ashen, their hands covered in blood. A child spirit tugs at Tikyo's hand. Young soul, whispering. You still bright, don't let them touch. She is waiting you at the stone well. Bert collapses, holding his head. Bert screaming. I didn't abandon my daughter. I just don't know how to be a father. From afar, a red light shines down. A giant figure appears, his own spirit form, with reproachful eyes. But Tikyo appears, placing his hand on Bert's shoulder. Tikyo, softly. You never turned your back. You just forgot to forgive yourself. Tikyo approaches the stone well, where Aljon is chained in thick black hair. Around him, human arms rise from the ground, trying to pull him down. Alincora stood there, half melted, her eyes full of hatred. Alincora, voice cracking like broken stone. You dare take away in my food. You dare bring light into the underworld. Tikyo did not answer, pulling out the sacred charm from her neck. White fire erupted, making Cora scream, her face breaking into pieces like dry earth. Her hand grabbed Tikyo and pulled her in. Bert rushed forward, trying to pull Tikyo back. But Tikyo was pulled deeper into the widening well, a blood-red swirling space. Aljon, suddenly waking up, tears streaming down his face. Don't. It's Eloy's fault. Spare the boy. Whose soul do you want? Take me. The prayer echoes. The well stops. Everything pauses for a second. Then a blinding white light bursts from the amulet in Tikyo's hand. The scene breaks apart, the Engkanto world cracks like a mirror. Alincora screams, her last scream before she turns to ash, flying back into the darkness. Everything collapses. The gate closes. Next scene, Tikyo faints in Bert's arms. They reappear in the stone circle of the old house. All three are gasping for breath. Outside, it's like a new dawn. The abandoned house is now just a pile of rotten wood, covered in dust. There's no more smell of flesh, no more sound of knives. Aljon is saved, but what's truly free is the human heart. Final scene, Bert sits writing a letter to his daughter. Tikyo runs outside, laughing. Aljon quietly places flowers in front of the ashes of the old house. Bert's voice over, deep. Son, I used to run away from all my mistakes. But there was a boy who taught me that the light only appears to those brave enough to turn back. A month later, the night is clear. Children play on the grass near the new school under construction. Narrator, warm, deep. After that night, no one heard the sound of boiling pots or the smell of meat in the middle of the night. The abandoned house returned to its true meaning, a dry scar on the body of the town. Aljon sits under the shade of a tree, handing out rice and medicine to the poor. He bows his head to thank each recipient. Aljon, honestly, it was thanks to a meal from another world that learned to be grateful for this world. The wooden board behind him reads, the Glen Foundation for the Unheard. He puts his hand on Glen's name, his eyes red. Bert stands in the middle of the small classroom, teaching the children an ancient map of mga Engkanto, folk entities. Bert, excitedly, notebook in hand. Not all Engkanto are bad. There are spirits who just want to be remembered, respected. The children pay attention, drawing mysterious creatures on paper. The teacher laughs. Bert, who once ran away from his own past, is now the one who writes invisible history for the next generation. Lolo Istong's house. The old man sits in front of the fire. Tikyo stands beside him. Lolo pulls an old anting-anting from his neck, hanging on shiny black rattan string, and places it in Tikyo's hand. Lolo is tongue, voice trembling but resolute. This world is getting thinner, my child. Someday, the gate will open again. And it will take someone who knows how to fight not with hatred, but with light. Tikyo nodding. I will not disappoint you. Tikyo stands alone in the old wasteland. The grass has grown. But he knows well what this place once held. The wind blows gently. A thin wisp of smoke rises from the middle of the land. Tikyo closes his eyes. The wind whispers like an old whisper. Not all Engkanto are bad. As long as you know how to bow your head. The folk are the memories of the land. What you reject will wait for you in your dreams.